Hi, this is Joyce Farrell. Let's take a look at constructors. In object-oriented programming languages, classes contain constructors. A constructor is very similar to a method, but it's called automatically every time an object is created. In many programming languages, a constructor must have the same name as its class, and although a constructor is similar to a method, it never has a return type. For example, assume you're going to create a class named Job to hold data for jobs that you schedule for your workers. You might decide to include data fields for an ID for the job that's a string and a fee for the job that's numeric. If you start to write a program and declare a job called Today's Job, an automatically supplied constructor will execute for you. I mean a constructor that you didn't write. Typically, the constructor will look like this. It has the same name as the class, and the data fields in the class are set to whatever the default values are for strings and numeric variables in the programming language that you're using. So, when you declare a job called Today's Job, you get an object with default values. You can write your own default constructor, one that does not accept any parameters. For example, you might decide every time a job is created you don't want the default values in your programming language, but you want the ID to be XXX and the fee to be 0. Let's also look at a display method that will output the data after it's set. If you write a program and declare a job called Today's Job, the constructor is automatically called. The ID is set to XXX, the fee is set to 0, and the object is created. If you add a statement to your program to display the job, you'll see that the job ID is XXX and the fee is 0. Instead of a default constructor, you might want to create a constructor that uses parameters. You might want to be able to send in an ID number and a price and assign them to the appropriate fields. If you write a constructor like this one, you no longer get the default constructor. This is the only constructor that there is. So if you start to write a program and declare a job as Today's Job, it won't work because you're trying to declare an object without passing any values for the constructor. Instead, you have to declare Today's Job with 2 arguments. The arguments then can be sent into the constructor, and the job can be created in memory with the assigned values. If you display the values, you can see that they've been set to what was assigned in the constructor. You can overload constructors. Overloading constructors, just like overloading methods, means that you have multiple constructors with the same name but different parameter lists. If you create 2 objects, one job1 and the other one job2 with 2 arguments, both can work with this class. Job1 calls the parameter list default constructor and creates an object in memory with the values assigned in the default constructor. Job2 sends 2 arguments and creates an object with the assigned arguments. That's a quick look at constructors. Thanks for watching.